Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rakakwadash, double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect men pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. This is the brother Yakanan from the DC Church, and the topic and the scripture I wanted to touch upon today, was inspired by the scripture right here in Matthew's the 22nd chapter, and I'm gonna start at the 30. I'm gonna start at the 32nd verse, and it says, "I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living." And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But when the Pharisees have heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, saying, "Master, which is the great commandment in the law?" And Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy mind, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And this scripture right here is powerful because he basically summed up the whole book and what it means to be in this faith, in this truth, into two commandments, into two things that will lead you to be able to receive salvation. Trusting Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and having faith with them with all thy mind and all thy soul, and loving thy brother as thyself. And it makes when you look throughout the scriptures, it makes perfect sense why he would sum it up into those two scriptures. When you understand what love is, when you understand what faith is, when you understand those two things and what they actually mean, that's when you understand what Yahushua was saying and how he was able to sum up the whole law into two. Now I'm gonna get 1 John chapter 5 and 2. Let's get what love is. This is 1 John chapter 5 verse 2. It says, "By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For the love of God is that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world, and this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith." That's essentially what love is. Keep the keeping of his commandments, and the commandments are not grievous. Why aren't the commandments grievous? Because the commandments are the doctrine of life. This is what this is the doctrine of life. This is what keeps the Israelite blood pumping. You staying away from sin. Because the works of sin is the deeds of sin lead unto death. But loving your brother is not committing sin against him. It doesn't matter how many scriptures you know. You can quote the whole Bible. You could quote the whole Bible and quote all the scriptures, But if you don't have love for your brother, if you're wicked and you're sinning against your brother, you're not of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It doesn't matter how many scriptures you know, how many breakdowns you can do. If you're a wicked nigga, there's no way that you're able to fully understand the word of the Lord. Being brotherly is one of the most important things of being in this truth. Showing love to your brother. Showing love to a brother that's in need, and showing love to a brother that's not. Showing love all together on all fronts to every brother that says, "Hey, I believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I want to get out of America. I believe in this doctrine. 144%, and I'm gonna give it 144% to get up out of this place. You know, that's the brother that you have to treat like a brother, you know, that you have to sacrifice for, that you have to look out for, that you have to look over, you know, and that you cannot sin, and that you should refrain from sinning against, you know, because brothers can clash heads once in a while. You know, it happens. We're all human. But the thing is that you should not bear the scriptures say that you shouldn't bear a grudge against a brother either. You know? Oh, I don't like that brother. He did this one thing to me one time. I ain't like it. He said something I ain't like. No, you're not supposed to bear a grudge against your brother. You're supposed to confront him and let your brother know that he has sinned against you. Actually, I'll get it. I'm not sure. I know it's in Matthew's. Salakia. If I can't find it. Yeah. Let me see. This is Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. For if there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall thy brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? How shall I say unto him? I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. You know, if your brother is sincere, if a brother is sincere, you know, if a brother is sincere, and you know you get into you get into arguments, you know, you clash heads once in a while. You know, Yahushua basically said you should forgive him 70 times 7. If he's sincere and he believes and he has faith in Yahushua, and he has faith in Yahushua, and he's not intentionally doing the same thing over again, you know, you should forgive him. You know, and that doesn't mean a brother can commit a sin that's a sin unto death unto you 70 times 7 times. You know, there's discretion there too, you know, but just you know, just the basic clashing of heads, you know, just the basic clashing of heads and clashing of opinion, you know, that's outside of the truth, you know, it will happen at some point. And how you're supposed to deal with it is you're supposed to deal with it in a brotherly way, you know, not deal with it like these niggas out here. They get into a beef over something simple and they kill each other. You know, that's not what the truth is about. You know, the truth is about showing love and genuine love to your brother, you know. Now, this is also part of that love. This is Leviticus chapter 19. And I'm going to start at 17. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy brother, rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. You know, that just goes to show your neighbor is synonymous with your brother. You know, so when you have these Christians saying love thy neighbor, you know, then not everybody is your neighbor. Not everybody is your neighbor. Not everybody is your brother. You know, these heathens aren't our brothers. These heathens aren't our neighbors. And these 2/3 either. You know, these niggas that's in the world, they are not our neighbors. They are not our brothers. You know, we're supposed to still keep the law when it comes to them. But, you know, but if they have not the same faith, you know, hey, it is what it is. As long as you know that you extended that spiritual hand of Yahushua out to them, you know, then that blood is washed off your hands. And we do that every week in and week out, and every Saturday when we go out to camp, you know. Now this is Leviticus 19 verse 17, and it says, thou shalt not hate thy neighbor, hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. You know, and not suffering sin upon your brother is if your brother doesn't know what he's doing is wrong, or if he falls short in some way, shape, or form when it comes to this faith, when it comes to this truth, man, you rebuke him, you rebuke him, and you show him love by showing him exactly what he's supposed to do, what's required of him, you know, and you're not supposed to suffer sin upon him, because essentially we don't want each other to die. We want the brothers that we see every day, week in and week out, you know, even if it's not every day, we want we want to be in the kingdom with each other, you know. And that's why, and the thing is that we're supposed to build our brotherly bonds every day. So when we make it to the kingdom, you know, it's all love, you know. Now, verse 18, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. You know, and this was all the way back in Leviticus, you know. This was all the way back in Leviticus. You know, this has been stated before. You know, that's exactly why Yeshua said, "I come in the volume of the book." You know, he said he came in the volume of the book because everything that came before him when he was in that body is the same thing he's preaching now. You know, nothing has changed, not the prophecies or the prophets, you know, or the commandments. None of them changed. It's still the same. But the only difference is that we're doing it through faith. You know, I'm going to grab just a few more scriptures and I'm going to close out. This is Ephesians chapter 3. And 3 and 19. And it says, and to know that the love of Hamashiach, which passeth knowledge, that ye may be filled with all the fullness of Yahweh, you know. And it says, know that the love of Hamashiach is which passeth knowledge, you know. That's a part of the love too. It's the passing of knowledge. Every time that we put out videos like this and we go out onto the highways and byways, you know, we're showing love unto our people. You know, people don't look at it like that, but this is essentially us showing love to them, because this is the doctrine of light. This is what's going to save them in the times to come. You know, this doctrine, this truth, this faith, this is this is the only protection. This is the only edge of protection for our people. You know, this is the only covering for our people. You know, this is the only covering. And what is that covering? That covering is the faith and love. The faith and love of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. This is what's going to save them from the pestilences, the plagues, you know, this doctrine, this faith, this truth, you know. So when we go onto the highways and edges and you have somebody saying that we're a hate group, you know, I got to scratch my head at that, because yo, if we would be showing hate upon you if we just kept this truth to ourselves, you know, and had classes at a brother's houses every Saturday, and then preach the word onto the internet. You know, that would be the greatest form of hate that we could possibly show for our nation, because if that was the case, everybody else would die, everybody else would perish, you know. But we're showing love unto our people by going out into the highways and edges and telling them the truth. You know, because they've been fed lies since the day that they was born, you know, and that's that passing knowledge, that understanding, that's showing love unto our people. So that they're filled with the fullness of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and if they hear the word and forbear it, you know, they come into this thing as a brother, you know. Now, I'm gonna get one more scripture. First Corinthians. This 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse verse 13. Verse 12. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as I am known. And now now abideth faith, hope, charity. These three, but the greatest of all these is charity. And what is charity? I have it pulled up here on the Edom Online right here. And charity essentially means love, especially of Christian Christian love fellow men. You know, perhaps to avoid. It means to esteem highly, to love. In a general sense of affections, people ought to feel for one another. You know. Also, alms. You know, that which are bestowed gratuitously unto a person or persons in need. So right now, what we're doing when we go onto the highways and edges, essentially what we're doing is giving spiritual alms. You know, we're giving spiritual alms. You know, this is the food right here. This is the alms. This is the bread of life. You know, and this is exactly what we do when we go onto the highways and edges. We give them we give the masses of people spiritual alms, whether they want to take it or not is up to them. But it's up for the taking it. And any Israelite that wants to hear, whether they look like an Israelite, whether they don't look like an Israelite, they're going to receive these spiritual alms. You know, whether they like it or not. You know, and it's up to them what they do with it. You know. It's up to them what they do with those spiritual alms. Do they build upon those alms and become one in this faith, or do they squander it and waste those alms? You know. And it says which is bestowed gratuitously unto a persons or persons in need. You know, we're not out here selling this truth. You know, this truth ain't up for sale. Everything that we do we're doing a free service. This is a free service, and anybody is welcome to grab a plate and eat. You know, this is love. This is charity. Charity is love. The spiritual charity of the right doctrine is love. You know, and it says, and that's exactly why it says, but the greatest of these is charity. You know, but you can't have one without the other. You can't have faith you can't have the true charity without faith. You know, they all go hand in hand, you know. Hey, and with that, you know, I hope brothers was edified. You know, I want to say, call law, how about Shem Yahushua for me being able to put out this video. You know, double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect men pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. Until next time, Shalom.